Welcome back to the Redraft Show, brought to you by the FFD Fantasy. And we're here today to mourn, all right? Look, we're going to have a moment of silence at the beginning of this video for Tucker Craft and all my shares and everybody who listened to me in the offseason say, hey, this is this year's breakout at tight end. So, moment over. Now, let's get into the waivers this week. And what we have here is we've got 4 teams on bye. We've got the Bengals, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Titans. So 3 of the 4 most offensively productive units, and then just a truly offensive unit in Tennessee Titans. But we don't have to get into that. Let's get into what we got right in week 9. So we've got, just fresh off the waiver wire, we've got our stream of the week at quarterback. We had the combination of Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. It ended up being Mac Jones. Mac Jones goes for 19 to 24 for 235 and 2. Great job. All right. So Brock Purdy might be back. He might not. I don't even know if he has a toe anymore. And that's kind of hard to not play. I guess you could. I mean, I don't know. Like, he could Lieutenant Dan his way into some good stuff. As good as it's been with Mac Jones, I want Brock Purdy in the lineup. But I digress. Then we got Darius Slayton. We called Darius Slayton. He goes 7 targets, 5 catches for 62 yards. He's currently 29% rostered. We went Colston Loveland as our must-add tight end of the week, and boy, did that pay off against the Bengals. The Bengals, who have given up 12 touchdowns to tight end. So guess what, guys? In week 11, I'm probably going to recommend you add whoever they're playing in week 11 as the tight end stream of the week. Okay. Newsflash. So, and then we've got Kyle Monangai. Listen, again, we're targeting the Bengals heavily. You get me? So moving forward though, let's get into week 10. We gave you some great calls in week 9. If you're back, okay, it's because we're just giving you the good stuff. No Diddy. But let's start with the running back. The must-adds here. It's kind of thin on the waiver wire this week. We're recording this before Monday Night Football. So hopefully, you're checking your waiver wire to see if Trey Benson, last time we talked about it, he was 63% rostered. It's pretty thin out there this week. We're going to start with Devin Singletary going against the Chicago Bears. Now, he did go 8 for 43 rushing last week. Did accumulate 2 targets. He's out there. All right. We recommended Tyrone Tracy. Shout out to Pete Nova. Pete Nova did throw a tweet my way and say, hey, don't forget about Devin Singletary, to which I scoffed at because I think Tyrone Tracy is really good. Tyrone Tracy didn't do much last week. Devin Singletary, 8 for 43, only 28% rostered currently. You could do much worse than putting Devin Singletary on your bench just to see what happens, see if something happens to Tyrone Tracy, or to see if it's more of a 50-50 timeshare. Whatever the case may be, it can't hurt to throw some Devin Singletary on. Whenever Devin Singletary gets the workload, it usually bears out good things. Example given, 2023 Houston Texans, where he just was basically a high-end RB2 for the back half of the season. So then we move on to Kenneth Gainwell, I was surprised, but he's much more highly rostered. They're taking on the Chargers this week. He's 46% rostered. He had 5 targets in that week 9 game. It seems to be that Aaron Rodgers enjoys having him out there on passing downs. He trusts him. And if for some reason Jaylen Warren were to miss time again, the one time that he missed time earlier this year, Kenneth Gainwell handled 30-something touches. This is clearly a team that just absolutely hates Caleb Johnson, but that's a different story for a different day. The post-waiver stash that I'm going to recommend for you this week, and it might not even be a post-waiver stash anymore because you might just have to add him to get ahead of this thing. 26% rostered, Bashal Tootin. Now, this week he's taking on the Houston Texans. That's not the most ideal matchup. That is one of the best units in the league against every single fantasy position. But the next 3 matchups following that, the Chargers, the Cardinals, and the Titans. So let's get him on the roster. Let's be early to the party. That way, when I make the week 11 or week 12 show, you've already got him on your roster, so you can have your league mates fawning and fighting over what to send you to acquire a guy like Bashal Tootin. Now, let's move on to the wide receiver position. We've got Pop Douglas. Now, Pop Douglas coming off of a 4 for 101 game, 6 targets. We've got the injury. We've got the injury now to Kayshon Boutte. The Boutte Warrior is going to miss some time with a hamstring injury. Heal up soon, King. We'd love to see you back out there on the field. But it creates a twofold opportunity here. One being Demario Douglas coming out and going for 100 yards and a touchdown, and then Kyle Williams. Yes, that Kyle Williams. If you followed the FFD channel, the FF Dynasty for any period of time, we got into it with another one of our partners, I guess you could say, about the selection of Kyle Williams during a rookie draft, his placement. And now Mike Vrabel said that he's going to come out and have another role. So post waiver stash, Kyle Williams gets added to this list. But I'm going to get back to the must adds for this week. We've got Olamide Zaccheus. Now, Olamide Zaccheus came out and had 8 targets, 6 catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown in the same game where Mr. Roma Dunze, the Roman Empire, went 0 catches on 3 targets and did not get into the stat sheet. So take that with a grain of salt. Rome could go nuclear this week. It's been pretty up and down, but mostly it's because the Bears offense, like, we're still trying to figure it out. They scored 47 points and Rome did not score or contribute to the stat sheet at all with anything that can be tangible in this case. So Olamide Zaccheus, I'm saying add him. It's clear that they're going to have him out there. He's hindering us from a Luther Burden breakout, but we did get half of the rookies that we wanted to see there. We've got 2/3, excuse me. We've got Colston Loveland's breakout. We've got Luther Burden, or we've got Olamide Zaccheus, the Luther Burden blocker. We got his breakout. And now we're just waiting on Luther Burden, all right, to be ready to give us like full-time Luther Burden. But it's probably not going to happen. So you need to have Olamide Zaccheus on your roster. If you're hunting for a replacement for T. Higgins or Jamar Chase or George Pickens or CeeDee Lamb, like, this is a good matchup against the Giants. So you could take advantage of that. And then we've got Darius Slayton. I recommended him last week, but I'm recommending him again because this is the thing. 7 targets. He had the 68-yard touchdown call back. He's going to be a part of this offense. So you want to get him on your roster. He's currently 29% roster. So he's probably available in your leagues, man. Like, let's take this seriously. This could be signal, not noise. And then I've got a pretty deep list for you in terms of post waiver stashes this week. You got Calvin Austin taking on the Chargers. He's currently 24% roster. You got De'Ami Brown, 5% roster, taking on the Texans. Again, refer back to my portion of the show where I talked about the next 3 opponents after the Texans. This is why you're post waiver stashing De'Ami Brown and not burning priority and or spending a bunch of fab to get a guy that's taking on the Texans. Okay. And then Christian Kirk taking on the Jags. He had 8 targets last week. And I mean, that's just kind of let's wait and see what happens until something happens again. And then we can get like the young talent on the field, the young bucks. They had the old bull. Now she wants a piece of the young buck. I want a piece of the young buck, and I want these Houston Texans receivers, the ones that don't have AARP cards. I want them on the field. You understand? I need it. Let's cut this Xavier Hut. Hey, save it. Rein it in, JC. Rein it in. Now, let's move on. Oh, and then last but not least, Kyle Williams versus 6% rostered. He gets the Bucks. Again, Mike Vrabel. All right, go to Coach Speak Index. Look at how he's talking about Kyle Williams. This is a dude. Ignore it at your own risk.
Hey guys, quick reminder. If you haven't signed up for the free Discord or the free Patreon, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description.
Now let's move on to the tight end position. Now, we gave you last week, we gave you Colston Loveland. So hopefully, if you made it to this part of the show, you realize that Colston Loveland, like, you've already picked him up. But if you're new here, hey, I'm Chev, legendary ball knower, and I'm telling you to go pick up Colston Loveland. If you lost Tucker Kraft, RIP, and or you're dealing with a bye week for Jake Ferguson, or you have Travis Kelce, or for some reason you were just streaming Noah Fant every week. Let's get Colston Loveland. Let's spend a bunch of money to get Colston Loveland on our rosters. Do you understand? Okay, good. All right. Now that we got that cleared up, you in the comments, tell me what I think you should do with Colston Loveland. Tell me what you think you should do with Colston Loveland. I think he's a must add, and he could be a league winner depending on how much time Cole Kmet's going to miss. So everything on the skill set was on display. 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. I believe it was 6 or 7 catches for 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. Man, I can't say enough good things. It's finally happening. And again, we can't ignore we can't ignore the need here. Like, you lost me personally. I lost Tucker Kraft in a lot of places. In the leagues where I didn't scoop up Colston Loveland, I'm about to dump a bunch of fab to get Colston Loveland onto my squad. And then you've got Theo Johnson. It's actually a pretty good waiver wire for tight ends this week, surprisingly. You got Theo Johnson. He's 22% rostered. He scored a touchdown in 4 of 6 games with Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart seems to want to pepper him with targets, and he's a RAS score freak. He's 6'6". He's 265 pounds. He can run after the catch like nobody's business. And they're really just trying to find like a passing game option to run through. That's why I recommended Darius Slayton. That's why I'm recommending Theo Johnson. Now, 22% rostered. You could do much worse than Theo Johnson this week. And then we've got, pains me to do this, guys. Okay. It might seem a little sacrilegious, but Luke Musgrave. Okay. Luke Musgrave was actually selected higher, okay, in the same draft that the Packers took Tucker Kraft. Okay. The 2023 draft, they took Luke Musgrave ahead of Tucker Kraft. Now, it just so happens that Tucker Kraft, Yak and Cheese, is who he is, and he won that job just by having an absurd amount of dog in him. But that doesn't mean that Luke Musgrave can't play. So he's only 1% rostered. So this will probably slip through a lot of people's cracks because, wait a minute, this will probably go by a lot of people because you're all like, we're all sad about Tucker Kraft. But, however, okay, if you're sharp and you can weed through the pain and endure, you get a guy like Luke Musgrave. He's been clocked at over 20 miles an hour. He's 6'6". He's 250 pounds. I mean, it's basically like watching a baby gazelle like try to learn how to run. But this could be a thing if they decide to use him. He's been used in the role before. It's kind of hard to tell them apart. It's just that, one guy is incredible at football and one guy might be good. We don't know. I mean, he got stuck behind Tucker Kraft. So at any rate, let's think about it. Let's talk about it. Like, it's not comfortable, but hey, get comfortable being uncomfortable because it's about to get diabolical the further we get into the season. I'm just trying to, look, I don't like it either. I'm just presenting you with options. So yeah, those are our tight end ads of the week. It's just uncomfortable. And then last but not least, we have the quarterback streamers. We've got JJ McCarthy taking on the Ravens. I mean, they've been one of the highest EPA allowed per play. Now, they did shut down the Miami Dolphins defense, but offense. The Ravens defense shut down the Miami Dolphins offense. But hey, we just saw JJ McCarthy go out there and score 3 touchdowns again. 14 to 25, 143 yards. It's not the best, but it certainly could be worse. So JJ McCarthy, if you're without Dak Prescott, Joe Flacco, or Mahomes this week, this could be a quality streamer for you. And the other guy that I'll give you is Michael Penix Jr. taking on the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are allowing the most fantasy production to the wide receiver position. I don't know if you saw, but light-skinned Al-Gaib, Drake London, went for 120 yards and 3 touchdowns this week. So they've got the connection going, and the Colts allow a ton of fantasy production to wide receivers. So this could be a match made in heaven. It's not great. Captain Durag has been, and I hesitate to call him that because I don't like giving people nicknames that haven't really earned them yet, but I love Michael Penix like I had a second son. So we're going to call him Captain Durag. Captain Durag versus the Colts this week. Alliteration aside, it's a fine streaming play this week if you're without your primary quarterback. And that brings us to our last point, which would be, if you're desperate enough, you can stream Marcus Mariota against the Detroit Lions. I do not recommend this, but it could work out. It could be a boat. It could be. We don't know. Time will tell, I guess. But get well soon, JD5. We love you. Big fans of you. Big fans of the FFD. Big fans of you in general. Get well soon, brother. And hey, if you made it this far into the video, please make sure you're liking, commenting, downloading, subscribing. Tell me who your favorite pickups. Who did I miss? Who would you like for us to talk about? Happy to get on there. If you haven't, hit me up on the Twitter X and let me know if there's somebody I missed that you wanted to talk about. I'll be happy to chop it up with you. And if you haven't, please go download the League Champ app today in the Google Play Store and the App Store. We're giving away a free jersey every single week for the most accurate ranker in the weekly rankings redraft competition. And as I always leave you, there's ball watchers and ball knowers. Assign yourselves accordingly. I'll see you in the running backs episode.